striking woman leans against the cabin top of her sailing boat, smiling as you approach.
Good afternoon, officers. I'm Joyce L. Messier. I represent the board of Wild Pines, the owners of the harbour. You gentlemen must be from the RCM. Nothing, honestly. I've said it to every drunk in town, and you're the first one who...
Relax. She meant it in jest.
I'm glad to see you here. I was dispatched to handle a strike, not a lynching. Anything I can do to assist the RCM in this matter,
That is good to hear, madame. My colleague will take the lead on this interview. I should let you know that he is recovering from an unusual...
There's a trace of irony in his voice. Mischief, even.
How interesting. I wish you a swift recovery. In the meanwhile, you have my full cooperation, and the full cooperation of...
It's hard to get a read on her precise disposition, but she appears helpful.
That's the man who was killed. I'm afraid this is a discussion for once we've cleared the lynching question. Better not tie the forestay to the batstay on this. I hope there is something else I can help you with. Quite a few things, I'm afraid. The information I'm to share with you includes sensitive trade secrets. For the sake of my employer, I have to ask for your names and badge numbers.
Of course, ma'am. We should have introduced ourselves. I am Lieutenant Kitsuragi, from Precinct 57. And this is my colleague from Precinct 41. I'm afraid he doesn't have his badge at the moment.
How curious. Why is that, Detective? I see. So, are you saying you lost your badge during the course of this episode? I can't hear you, darling. Speak up, please. Oh, dear. Some kind of encephalitis. I do believe you, naive as that may sound. I simply can't imagine what you get.
As I said, ma'am, his technique may be very unconventional.
Of course, I sympathize. But I'm afraid I simply can't share anything more until I've seen...
Hang on. She's a professional negotiator. She should be open to some sort of mutually beneficial arrangement. She's a negotiator. Just float a favor at her.
I will be frank with you. If I'm going to break protocol, I need to be able to justify it to my superiors. They're going to...
You're in, but expect her to drive a hard bargain.
Reports from inside Terminal B suggest it's a hub for the local drug trade. This is an open secret in Martinez.
They're profiting from this trade.
The company has tried looking into this matter before, to no avail. Perhaps someone with your authority, and... Or, you can recover your badge. Though, if I may be blunt with you, it sounds like...
Detective, a word in private before we continue. This is not going quite as I hoped it would, Detective. Honestly, I was expecting you to use your unorthodox technique to keep her off balance, and not volunteer us to be her henchman. This woman is running circles around us. She might have known about your misplaced badge all along, or she's simply another...
Maybe this is all her plan. She might have heard about you.
Oh, that would be fantastic, but do we have the time? The world is large and your badge is 8 by 6 centimeters.
The situation might have changed drastically by the time...
You could request a new one from the station, but that would literally take months. I wouldn't go that far. Her reaction did come off as sincere to me. I think no. If there is reasonable suspicion, we must investigate. Otherwise, she could claim we are set. What I propose is, we ask her, then we investigate, briefly. But do not share the outcome of this investigation with her. We tell her it's done and demand for her information on the lynching.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with? It's quite straightforward. Someone is using Terminal B to smuggle raw ingredients from the Samaran Isla into Revachol with...
Ingredients for what, ma'am?
Meth and dextroamphetamine, GBL and various synthetic psychedelics. Honestly, it might be quicker to say what you can't make from the stuff. Yes. After they clear the terminal, we lose track. The actual production is taking place at...
Wild Pine seems to be well apprised of the local drug trade, ma'am. Do you mean to say the union also produces the product? Sells drugs, I mean?
We're in logistics. It's our business to know. And no. As far as the company knows, the union does not produce it. They transport the ingredients for a cut. Yes, but you won't get anything out of Evrat and the Dock Workers Union.
The handoff. The motor lorries at the roundabout.
Precisely. Someone needs to move the ingredients from the harbour into the city. Perhaps you've noticed that a number of lorries are tangled in a traffic jam at the roundabout just now. Interview the drivers who are still hanging about, albeit...
Uncovering union secrets could also give you an upper hand when dealing with them.
We did. On more than one occasion. Apparently, there's some sort of inter-precinct
We know the company has launched its own probe into the union's alleged involvement. We also know it's come up empty. It's not just the RCM. No one's been able to find any hard evidence.
Well, here's your chance, officers. No. We asked East Motor Track to raise the drawbridge. The road company is a partner of one of our subsidiaries. However, this is a limited time opportunity. Once the complaint has been processed by the Trade Committee, they'll have no choice but to lower the drawbridge. Thousands of litres of raw ingredients will pour onto the streets of Revachol. Not the east across the river, but the west.
Well, at least this solves...
What is that, Lieutenant?
Why I had to call East Motor Track and beg them to open a drawbridge for me. I'd wondered since I first drove in.
I am sorry for the inconvenience, Lieutenant Kisaragi, but we need them trapped here. This is a unique opportunity. I'm sure you're... How do you think they're financing this strike? There are thousands of unpaid dock workers going...
There was a shakedown of local businesses preceding the strike. Many were squeezed.
With all due respect to these desert cacti, the contents of a few cash registers cannot provide for 2,000 men. The local businesses can scarcely provide for... Precisely. Smuggled out of that very gate at night, most likely, then loaded onto lorries and driven to Jamrock.
It sounds like she tried looking into it herself, though she's clearly not the type your typical lorryman would confide in.
The two might even...
Or not. Though, if you have evidence...
As eager as I am to share it, Lieutenant, once the job is done. Yes? Excellent. According to my reports, there are at least 3 lorry drivers lingering near the roundabout. Hopefully one of them will know something. It may come to nothing, or in the meantime, let me know if there's any other way I may be of assistance. Why, yes I am. Good. What we do? I'm afraid I don't...
There was a touch of discomfort there. She wants to merely represent.
The Pine's core competency is logistics. Container shipping, freight, and that is the terminal. Another subdivision deals with energy, oil and gas exploration, offshore platforms.
The Wild Pines Group is one of the original Revacholian Indo-tribes. Companies awarded royal monopolies by the king, the suzerain himself, centuries ago. The king is long gone, but several of the Indo-tribes remain. Son Baptiste, Elysium, an unknown entity known as Brightest Star. She nods.
Of course.
Advanced race theory.
Hello again, my man. What's on your mind? Ah, man. Me and narcotics go way back. Had some good times surfing the psychic waves of my own consciousness, you know? But those days are behind me. There are other addictions in my life now. Why the inquiry, my man?
We have a credible lead, sir. Someone on this roundabout is waiting for a bulk shipment from the harbor to load it on their lorry and drive.
Not me, man. No way. I don't need any trouble. Shit's bad enough anyway. This jam's got folks up in arms, and I'm afraid it's headed toward a conflagration. Look, man, I try to stay away from the criminal underbelly of Revachol. I'm a guest here. You really...
We wouldn't say he's lying, sire. The tear machine stands in the corner. A sign. You see several packaged raincoats fill a low shelf beneath a display of croissants and juice bottles. The raincoats are trapped. A lorry stuck in the traffic jam. This big, heavy Grad-made machine is well kept. The windows are clear. They've been recently washed. You can see a lorryman's cabin with personal belongings, stickers, insignia. The driver has adorned his space with a substantial collection of peculiar paraphernalia. The back end of the cabin is a small perch to sleep, large ashtrays. There are several. A book with ragged edges catches your notice. The front cover features a large, muscular man.
Racist nationalist paraphernalia. Not unusual in this part of town. Likely,
Pai mandou
yes.
mensagem.
This guy's proud of who he is. Drapes it all over his machine.
The unpromising race pupil returns.
Commissaire? Vai pro luta ainda.
He does not so much as glance at the object.
Stop showing me your pathetic.
He had nothing to do with it.
Portanto, liga. Oi, meu filho. É. Tem. Tá bom.
Does he strike you as the kind of man who puts monks into trash?
Pagou. Não, dá pra eu me virar aqui.
And
Tá bom. Beleza. Falou. Valeu. Terreno.
Munição. Caseque. Tá, mãe.
Look, babe. The rich man has humiliated and emasculated this couple. He can only...
Rich man really fucked him over, Jean.
His rage is already played out on the stage of history as the grotesque tragedy of impotent class warrior. I take pity on you. You clearly want to enter the harbor bad, like a little boy who wants to go on the potty. I can press the button very well. You may enter the door once. Our race...
Finally. Let's go.
On second glance, someone has forgotten to properly...
It's unfortunate for the Union to just leave their paperwork.
The drawer opens smoothly. Inside is a well-organized hundreds of documents containing logistical data. Two kinds of transaction and the same materials being handed over to companies inside Revachol. Couron, Coal City. It's hard to make sense of this thicket of company names, dates, quantities, and percentages. You try to focus, but the lines are getting blurry. Whatever's hidden here is hidden well. Concentration isn't enough. Only a trained accountant with a background in logistics would be able to really make sense of it. It appears to be a to-do list written in large... Remember, Leo, Everart's shoes, special whirling borscht, water Everart's plants. All items on the list have been crossed out, and the note itself is crumpled.
Everard Clare, probably. The head of the Debarders Union. One of his aides must have left it. Nothing.
The special borscht seems a bit odd. What is so special about this borscht? Code for drug, hundreds of documents, and the same material you already went through. The drawer slide. The front of this quarterly journal features a large satirical portrait of the late King Friesen. From the sides of his head, a pair of white antlers spread to the corners of the... To your disappointment, there aren't any full-color pictures to direct your attention. After rifling the pages with your thumb several times, the magazine is divided into several sections. International development, Kunst und Kultur, and local concerns. Just in this section includes a long, tedious critique of the latest round of free... You also skip over an article about heavy fuel oil smuggling along the Messina border. Face it, you really aren't interested in foreign affairs. You're not even you flip back to the front of the magazine. The table of contents. Unsurprisingly, much of this section is taken up with articles declaring you skim the headlines. Paint the harbor red and white. Martinez tames the wild pines. A city. Finally, there's a brief article by the writer, G. Martin, accusing the owner of the Capeside apartments of illegally attempting to evict certain communist tenants simply for not having paid their rent. The eternal problem, according to G. Martin, thus they tend to experience is that true? Have you flipped back to the front of the magazine? Comrade, as you know, this journal takes its name from Mazov's immortal expression, Du Christa, but like only 4 issues in, and it sounds like. So please, if you value our radical Mazovian perspective on contemporary politics, you flip back to the front of the magazine. Looks like someone left this tarpaulin cloak hanging on the railing. This is your cloak. You can feel it.
Yes, it does bear the RCM insignia. And we are the only the service cloak issued to you by your station?
As your fingers touch the tarpaulin, it almost feels like the cloak wants to I will shield you from the elements and give them.
Yes?
Container, I'll turn you nice and red.
The lyrics to this container song are being made up. The accent is so thick, it's impossible not to notice he's Ubi from the Vanishing...
Container, container, used to be Wild Pines. Container, container, now belongs to Everard. Everard, he looks like... I see you are not a union man, mister. Did you get lost? You're not one of them scabs, are you? I mean, I don't personally mind. Folks is just folks, you know, and folks gotta eat. Just some of the other guys don't look too kindly on the scabbing kind, if you know what I mean, mister. Oh, you want Mr. Everett then? He's an awfully nice fellow, he is. Him and guys like Mr. Everett and Mr. Edgar, his brother, are real good guys. Made Martinez what it is today. Oh, Mr. Everett is where he always is. In his office, of course. Oh, that one. That should be empty as far as I know. Lots of containers here have nothing in them. They're just waiting to be loaded up. Bye-bye.
Before you is a walrus of a man seated behind a large desk. He looks up from his work. Not with great effort, he straightens himself up in his chair, yet says nothing. He simply stares at you.
Welcome, Mr. Dubois, Mr. Kitsuragi. It's good of you two to stop by. I'm Everard Clare, head of the Debardes. I'd offer you my hand, but unfortunately my health prevents me from getting...
He looks extremely comfortable. The tiny folding chair, on the other hand, looks...
You go ahead, detective.
Whatever he has in store for you, it can't be good, he thinks. Forget about that. What's with this Dubois stuff? You're getting some seriously bad vibes from that name.
Please, Mr. Dubois, let us converse in a civilized manner.
It's nothing. Yes, that's probably right. It's nothing. Forget about it. Filter it out.
Excellent, Mr. Dubois. I can see that you're a reasonable man, and reasonable men can be of great use to one another. So tell me, how can the head of the Debardes Union...
The chair you're sitting on has got to be the most uncomfortable chair in the world. It's...
Oh, by the way, I heard you got a rather rude reception from a certain Lawrence Gart. This should take care of that nonsense. It should be sufficient to cover your expenses for a few days and patch over your differences with the cafeteria manager. Go ahead, take it.
Hey, that's 25 real. That's good money. Think of all the stuff you could.
Yes, I know Lawrence. He's a real character. No union man in him. A real piece of work.
With a grin, he points to the checker game. It's like you're on a game show. At least don't thank him for it.
Is there anything you'd like to say to me? Or...
No.
Cool? I wouldn't go that far. I'm sure there are cooler things than delivering a comic. Now, I'd like to set your mind at ease about one other matter. Your lost gun. Let me assure you, Union people...
His slug-like lips move, but all you hear... The world is swallowed by a black hole of fear. Only 2 words. When he said, don't worry, he actually meant, be very worried.
I know everything, Harry. Right now, I know that you're... It's not like you left it loaded. You didn't lose a loaded gun. Local children aren't out there playing with it right now, pointing it into their own mouths. It's in a safe place. I just know it. I have a feeling everything's going to be all right.
Officer, we will deal with this later.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Officer.
I wouldn't be so sure about that.
Who does this guy think you are? Ronnie the Rookie? You ain't known about no lost gun, or unpaid bill, or forgotten name. You're the bad cop. You're probably more corrupt than him. The fat man does the same, sinking deeper into his chair than one would think. Good. Now lean in with some corruption.
That we do, Harry. Let them say what they will about you and me. We're both born fighters. Why, thank you. It's always nice when...
That's it. Now kick back and add a final flourish for dignity.
You strike me as a reasonable man, Harry. I like that in a lawman.
I think we'd like to ask you a few questions. Don't you think?
Whatever you do, don't ask him about the gun first. You don't want him thinking you're scared.
What? Harry, how could you say that to me? You know I appreciate a joke as much as any Johnny fat guy, but I can't take slander.
The reaction appears to be sincere, but it's impossible to tell with this guy, honestly.
You've hurt me, Harry. Me, a friend. But you know, I trust you, like I trust all my friends. And I know you'll never talk to me about this again, because you don't want to wound me.
He's hiding his real reaction.
Thank you for your understanding.
You too, Lieutenant.
None taken. Did we have anything else to do here, Harry?
Honestly, I didn't want to bring it up, Harry. I heard you have become Measurehead's race pupil. Of course, Harry. Of course. You're not some kind of a fantastic racist now. No one's gonna know what you did with race there, Harry. Your race bonanza is safe with me. Well, anyway, I assure you, I am a very well-informed man. Information reaches me before... Of course. Let us dispatch with the formalities. You call me... My God, so it's true. I didn't want to believe it, but you are a fantastic science fiction amnesiac cop, aren't you? What are the odds of that?
I think the odds of that are very low.
It might be a good idea to hide your confusion. I mean, see what his game is first.
So good to hear that, Harry. Apparently my sources were wrong. However, if you did have...
Words flow like a river of honey. I guess word has already reached him. No, man.
Are you trying to tell me you've gotten hold of some of our documents?
Mr. Kitsuragi, would you mind? Me and Harry are talking about his lost...
Don't just jump to the folder. That's not smart. Shows you're on the edge. Do some probing first. Everard's large hands are covering the folder, but the look on his face says, I know everything about you, Harry.
I'm sure it's not that bad. At worst, he has an old RCM folder, and I very much...
Harry, I just know the things that matter to our friendship, and I want you to feel free to ask me about those things. But of course, Harry. Your precinct is the 41st and you live in Jamrock.
He doesn't really seem to know any more about it.
Ah, this? My friends in your organization.
This translates into, haha, you guys are...
I find that very suspicious.
I'm afraid this is meant for Union eyes only, Mr. Kitsuragi. I'm sure you understand. Please continue, Harry. It's Harry. Harry Dubois. Don't be silly, Harry. Harry Dubois, that's a real man's name. Mr. Kitsuragi doesn't seem even slightly empathetic to your memory loss, Harry. I, however, wish to help you any way I can. Of course, Harry, of course. Let's not linger on personal details and amnesia. You wanted something from me. Oh, of course. That's your main thing here. That's why you're in Martinez. I mean, it's no secret that the lynching is connected to the strike. So much to talk about. Honestly, it's been weighing on me so heavily. I understand you need to interview me. But there's a thing that's been keeping me up at night. I want to talk about the hanging. I mean, if we...
Yes, that sounds good. Let's do that.
But I can't think straight with this thing weighing on me. You're police officers, aren't you? I have a crazy idea. You guys are basically door-opening machines. Incredibly talented at opening doors. And I'm sure you're going to open this one with flying colors, Harry.
An excellent opportunity presents itself, sire. You could win the trust of the arch-liar, pretend to play into his hand. Then, should you wish, bend his efforts towards your own.
Oh, no one's. It's just a weasel. A weasel lives there. Nothing for you to worry about. Harry, I'm a very busy man, and more importantly, I don't have that extraordinary physique you do. You look like you could run around...
You want to send someone a message that the police...
I repeat, I'm a very, very busy man, Mr. Kitsuragi, and therefore I must occasionally enlist outside help. So what will it be? A loud blabbering weasel. When weasels feel no one is watching, just go there, unlock the door, and leave it open. It's been such a burden on me, Harry. I just want this to be over so I can discuss business. Harry, my dear friend, I am what people call a local bigwig. I know everything that goes on in Martinez. Fantastic, my friend. Just let me know when you can get the key from Manana. He's down by... Just open the door. You don't need to go in or anything. I just want that weasel to come home and see the unlocked door. Yes, your lost gun. My best men are on it. They're turning every stone, so your gun will be found, Harry. Let me assure...
The only way to find it seems to be working with him. He might even be holding your gun hostage.
Harry, I was only trying to be tactful. A lost gun is a day... Kids could be playing gun roulette with it as we speak. Teenage gangs could be arming themselves. Get a hold of yourself, Harry.
I assure you, we are working on...
The lieutenant is concerned about the lost gun and feels that the fact you haven't prioritized looking for it is unfortunate.
Excellent, Mr. Kitsuragi. That's excellent news. Looks like we have a friendly gun-finding competition on our hands. Oh, that's very nice. I haven't gotten around to her yet. I'm very, very busy, you see. I hope you're getting... One thing I want to make very clear, Harry, is that this is not some kind of union versus corporation situation. We're all trying to do what's best for Martinez. Don't feel like you can't cooperate with her because you and I are such good friends and I'm helping you find your lost... Of course, Harry. I have no interest in what she is doing, but I myself tell her about all of it. My brother's picture, my singing swordfish clock. Tell her how over...
It is rather interesting to tell people things about each other, isn't it? It was nice telling him about her right now.
Wait. You need this to get in and out through the gate. Here. You're one of us now. A real red and white union man. Take...
Lonesome, long way home. Here we go. Home awaits. Walk past Station 41 and through... Control panel with several knobs. 2 buttons marked Marsh and Marsh. On. Arrête. Off. With a loud grind, the crane shifts overhead, moving a massive metal container through the air. With a surprisingly quiet thump, the harbor sleeps as the strike rages in the distance. The crane can rest again, now that its purpose has been. The rusty control panel grows warm to the touch.
I can't see how that was worth the wreckers, except for seeing the crane in action, which I admit was...
The crane does not return to its original position. It does...
Yes?
Before you stands a cargo container.
You do? Because I don't. There are a million containers here. Why are you fixating on this one? There may very well be, but we are not here to look for that. We are not here to interact with containers. We are here to talk...
You attempt to turn the handle. To your left, the lieutenant considers your actions with some puzzlement. Your back, no reply. This is the Night Watchman's booth. The name on the door reads...
If you must. But please hurry. We are pretty easy to spot up.
Nothing incriminating catches your eye. The cabinets are clean, and it's a black and white photo of a young couple out in a street fair. The man, René, is dressed in a Royal Carabinier uniform.
Why did you take that picture of René? You're really interested in that old soldier. Not sure I understand your fascination, but...
This is the Night Watchman's booth. The name on the... Snow is quietly covering the numerous wine bottles and cigarette butts on the ground. Someone partied really hard. Well, they went through 6 bottles of potent Pilsen.
Well, yes, I think we can say with relative confidence that it was you. Yes.
You escape now? I was just messing with you. Imagine, you call... Speaking of, what brings the RCM here? To the Wild North? Come to... A key, huh? What door is this key supposed to open? Oh, say no more. I got you. I got that key right here. And let me tell you, it's mighty good of you to help us out during the strike. Working class solidarity, as they say. I knew this man was a commie. What you're looking for is a basement door behind the greenhouse. That's behind the whirling and rides.
Okay, but where did you get the...
The janitor gave it to me. Nice fella. We talked about life and things. None of this mess we're in. This jiving and juggling. What's it for? To feed our children, I guess. I'm more of a philosophical dock worker. I like to talk about the big picture stuff. Who...
He means he's not going to tell you, because he doesn't know who he